Good evening and welcome to the August 2nd, 2023 City Council meeting. Before we start our meeting, I'll ask our City Attorney, Michelle Scheidenberger, to report out in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, the City Council met in closed session to conference with legal counsel regarding a piece of existing litigation, John Volkman versus City of Roseville, Placer County Superior Court, case number SCV 0048917. Council was briefed on the case and provided guidance to staff. There is no reportable action, and the closed session adjourned at 5:45 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask the City Clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi. Here. Councilmember Elverd. Here. Councilman Mendoza.
Here.
Councilmember Rakucci. Here. And Mayor Haldeshelt.
Here. And it is my distinct pleasure and honor to invite Zach and Ivan from Roseville Little League, 11 and under All-Stars, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Zach is the third baseman, and Ivan is the left fielder. I don't know any more of their stats, so I just know that. All righty, I'm going to ask the City Clerk to announce the meeting procedures.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening and welcome to the August 2nd City of Roseville regular City Council meeting. Agendas are available at the end of the staff table to your right or online on the city's website. All comments from the public should be directed to the City Council and not to any staff member or the audience. All speakers must speak from the podium as this meeting is being recorded. For comments on non-agenda items, members of the public may address the City Council regarding any item that is not listed on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Public comments on non-agenda items will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The collective initial period for public comment is limited to 25 minutes. Any speaker that did not have the opportunity to speak during this segment due to time limitations will be able to speak at the end of the meeting prior to council comments. The Brown Act does prohibit the City Council from taking action, debating, or discussing items that are not listed on tonight's agenda. For comments on the agenda, those that are listed tonight, speakers will have 5 minutes to provide input that should be relevant to the item appearing on the agenda. At this time, for each comment, time will be monitored, and once the red light begins to blink at the podium, we request that the speaker please conclude their comments. Lastly, if you're addressing the City Council tonight, please consider stating your name for the record. With that, thank you for your civic participation and welcome to the City of Roseville.
Madam Clerk and Council and City Attorney, I wanted to ask if we might do some reordering of the agenda.
Okay. How about moving item 9.1? We'll hear that after item 5.1.
That's agreeable to me. Everybody? Yep. Do we need an official motion? Okay, we're good. We'll move item 9.1 up to after item 5.1. So I will introduce item 5.1, but everybody on the dais probably has a great relationship with the Roseville Little League. The Roseville Little League is just a little bit younger than me, starting in 1958. I came in, I have a date of 1954, but it is the league that is the oldest league in the city of Roseville. It's the original league in the city of Roseville, and it represents the neighborhoods of Los Cerritos, Roseville Heights, everything basically from Douglas Boulevard to 80 over this way until you get to Wood Creek Boulevard. This year they had a terrific season, and we're here to recognize and present certificates of recognition to the 11 and under All-Star team who, for the first time in 29 years, made it to the state. So, Jennifer Howard Hammer, would you come to the podium?
Hello.
The floor is yours.
Okay.
And you introduce the coaches and,
Yeah, I actually like to introduce all of them. So let me start with the manager and head coach, Daryl Fucano. One of the assistant coaches, Justin Cahoon. Is here? Paul's not here. Okay, is John here? No, okay. So we also have two other coaches, John Viegas and Paul Lenardi, who were not able to make it. But our team, if you guys want to come up and say hi, we'll start with Jace Nunez, Ivan Rogers, Zach Willick. And let me go ahead and point out that Zach Willick, his dad, Andrew Willick, was the last the last person who made it to states with Roseville Little League in 1994. Oh, wow. So son and come on up. It's a lot less great. We got Miles Allen. Jack Cahoon, this is our home run guy right here. Luke Caracas. Benny Viegas. And Mr. Mills. Oh, wait, Jude. And Jude Newman. This is your Roseville Little League 11 All-Stars who did make it to state. We are missing one other kid who Colin Lenardi, who, and Eisen. Eisen's not here either, so we're missing two.
you have two Ivans on the team?
We got an Ivan and an Eisen.
Ah,
Yeah, so they are the ones that did it. They worked really hard. If you guys want to sit down, you guys can sit down.
well, before they sit down, we have certificates of
you guys-
recognition
you got
for them.
certificates in here?
So
So
we'll figure out how to do that, but they
the
can all.
reason I had brought it to the council is because these kids, they work so hard. They give up their summers. They give up time spending with their friends. Their families give up family trips. They give up so much to represent this little league. The oldest, the smallest, but the mightiest little league here in Roseville. They are all kids that give everything when they went to states. They won district, they won sectionals, they made it to states for the first time in 29 years. It's a pretty big accomplishment. And they're amazing. They are such good little athletes. But the main reason why I had reached out to all of you is because it's kids like this that when we keep them busy, they don't end up to where I used to work. I was in law enforcement for 25 years, worked at CSP Sacramento, which is one of the hardest prisons in the United States, definitely in California. And I think it's important that we invest in our kids. With our Little League, we also represent, because we are the smallest Little League here, we represent families that may not have a lot of income, or maybe middle income, or maybe they have one parent, or what have you. So it's real important with our Little League. We try to give back to our community as much as possible. These kids will drop anything to help anyone, whether it's for our Little League or for another kid or for an adult or for a good cause. These are just all around great humans because they were raised by great humans. So I just want to thank you guys so much for giving us opportunity and for recognizing them, because they're worth being recognized for sure.
Great. There's got to be a photo op, and then we've got to hand out these certificates, so.
And I forgot to mention Kaylee. Kaylee is their team mom. She's the one that does all the stuff behind the scenes and doesn't always get a lot of recognition.
moms are important. You want to help with this?
Yeah.
Come on, let's all go down there and,
So have you played in your state game yet?
Yeah,
Yes.
we played state last week and we lost, unfortunately, to a couple teams from the Bay Area. But again, it was the first time that a team from around here has made it to the state championship in 29 years.
Well, if you moved here pretty soon. I'm supposed to give you some.
All right.
Suzanne Tallman, do you know any of these kids here? Yes. How do you know one of these kids?
Sticking together.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
Fat fingers.
And my neighbor is Jason Blessinger, and they're on vacation.
yeah.
They're
I
on
know
our
he's
board.
on your board, so I reached out to him and said, hey, we're honoring you. He goes, told Coach Darrell he did a great job. So. All right,
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
come on, we're gonna do like promotion ceremony. Come on up, you'll get a certificate.
Oh, man, you get
All
to,
right, and then if you move that way, all right, start with the vice mayor. Somebody give the vice mayor. All right.
Hey, shake your hands, gentlemen. Yeah.
Oh, Luke, I have to give you yours. And I have to give Jackie.
oh, they know each other.
Go. All right, we got one for the team, Mom.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we do have a couple kids missing, so that we.
Oh, we got two kids
You got a
missing.
couple that aren't here.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, I can. Kaylee.
Kaylee, I'll take it.
You want to get in the picture? Yes. Hi, Megan. How are you? Good. You too.
Mom, I hold your purse. Mom.
I have a new council member. Kinsley, come here. Come on. No, Shay, over here. No, you're all in. I have everybody. I have Scott to Tracy in here. All right, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2, 3. Thanks, everybody. That's okay. Just hold on to it. We gotta keep it for the boys.
Can I see one? Can I just see one?
Just let Shay have one.
It's okay, Chris. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Shall we get out?
All right.
Moving the 9.
Man, what joy.
Meetings were like that,
Yeah.
you know? That's great.
All right, we moved some things around. Sorry. So we're going to go now to agenda item 9.1, request for discretionary funds, Roseville Little League All-Star Team, and I'll ask the city clerk to make the presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So the City Council received a request for consideration to support a sponsorship to help fund the Roseville Little League's 11-year-old All-Star Team, making it to state championship for the first time in 29 years. That's it.
Great, and I know there was a lot of fundraising going on, and so we are going to consider making a contribution to this once every 29 years? I don't know. Hopefully, maybe it'll happen a little more frequently. But it really,
I'm sorry, let me just add the request that was, the request was $3,000.
oh, the request was
Oh, it says
$3,000.
55
Okay.
in the.
55 on one of them.
I had 1,500 in my head.
Oh, let me double check.
Come on up, Jennifer. Help us out, Jennifer.
What would you like?
We're fiscally prudent though here.
Okay, well, so what I had put out is that we were trying to raise about $5,800. We did raise a good portion of that. We are not going to ask for a specific amount. We are going to ask that whatever the city feels that they are able to donate or to give us to help these families. We will graciously take it and know that it will go to these families. It was quite a huge financial burden for a lot of them when they had to travel to Napa with very little notice in regards to, taking off work, the gas back and forth. Some of them did stay there because it was easier. So for hotels, it was a financial burden for them. So, and given that we are also, our socioeconomical platform of like kind of where we are, we're not West Roseville. We don't have the same kind of numbers that they have. We are 100% ran on donations and volunteers. Any funds that we have that are above and beyond, we give back to our families through sponsorships, if they need help with equipment, if they need help with dues. We do, and we're also, since we are a Little League that is 100% ran on donations and we're the nonprofit, we are the only Little League that has to 100% maintain our field, our lighting, our fields, our everything, all of the upkeep we're responsible for. So the city does not come back, or Parks and Recs, I don't believe, really helps us with that. So anyhow, we just are thankful for whatever it is that you guys are able to do.
So we have to do some formal procedures. I have to open up for public comment. Any public comment other than from the person requesting it? I'll close public comment. You have 15 players go, right?
We have 12 players.
Well, that got in the way of my logic. So I was thinking $1,500.
So I have a question, Jennifer. Does it go to the league, or does this go to the team, or is this just go back in the coffers to help pay for the fields and maintenance and those sorts of things?
This particular request goes back to the families. Everything that they paid for, whether it was food, whether it was gas, whether it was lodging, will all go back to them. They will submit the receipts, it will go back to them. If there was anything left over, which I don't know that there will be, if there's anything left over, it will go back into our coffers, and then we will use it for this fall season to help our children moving forward that need help.
Thank you.
Questions from the council?
I always feel like it's just important to explain for those that are watching at home to understand that where this pot of funds come from is the council has discretionary dollars. I think it's 15,000 per year. So it's $15,000 per year. So, and it starts over on July 1. So we have $15,000 that we can award to those that come forward and ask for it. So just to let everyone know kind of where those dollars come from. We also have, the Citizens Benefit Fund and other funding opportunities but this $15,000 just has to go for the entire year for people who come to us, just so everyone knows that.
Okay, that's understood.
We don't
Thank
have
you.
a ton of money, but we do want to help.
Oh, I appreciate that so
Yep.
much.
And the balance. And you raised a significant portion of
I did.
Yep. You
Yes.
closed the gap pretty well,
Yeah,
so.
I was
I'll
about
just-
3.5 days worth of fundraising.
Well, at a number, I'm good anywhere between 1,500 and 3. I mean, I know how much it costs. I have a kid in a national club league, and the parents, these kids think we're ATMs. I know how much it costs to put these kids through, so I'm comfortable between 15 and 3.
Okay. Councilman Alvord?
Very proud of the team, very excited that they're here. I would rather have the lower end of that. I'm comfortable more with the 1,500 only because I had kids in sports too, and that comes along with the territory. And we do have, that would give us 9 more times to be able to do this for the next year, and we are very limited on dollars. So I just want to see it go farther. And I know some of the needs that are coming up are much more citywide, but this is a great achievement, and I'd support 1,500.
Councilwoman Rakucci?
Well, I think it's not, because we do have a lot of little leagues, a lot of sports. I have grandchildren also on competitive teams. But I think with this team, this is the first time they've ever done it in 29 years. And I think that's makes them kind of stand out this year a lot. And that it was real difficult, but they did make it. So I'm open to, we would talk 1,500 to 3,000. I mean, even we can go in the middle, 2,000.
Well, it looks like on the memo, we've got a little over 19,000 in there for the 23-24 year.
Vice Mayor Bernasconi?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 2,000 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a unique situation, right?
Absolutely.
Right, because nobody planned, right? They didn't
No.
put a nest egg away and say, we're going to make it to states, right? Let's
all
break
hope.
open the piggy bank.
Now, every year, you know that, right? You have
I
to
know,
get
right?
there.
We'll have to, hopefully we'll come back in.
The reason why I want to say it, like, as Vice Mayor Bernasconi said, we don't usually take these kind of, we don't usually entertain this. There's a more formalized process for doing discretionary funds and grant funding, so.
And Mayor Haddishell, you said 19,000 because we had a rollover from last year. We
we
didn't
had
spend it all,
4,000,
so
right.
that's where that 19 figure comes in, so.
And it's the beginning of the year, so.
Okay.
I'm more on the lower end at 1,500, so, and it sounds like you've pretty much, will that close the gap?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
So if the council's agreeable, we'll,
Okay, I'll make a motion for $1,500.
Second.
Thank you. So again, this is, the city council will consider approving $1,500 from council discretionary funds for sponsorship to help fund the Roseville Little League All-Star Team. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvord.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza. Councilmember Cucci. Yes. And Mayor Hildeshelt.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
We are so thankful.
Anybody needs community service sign-off, you just stay for the rest of the meeting, and then you come up and we'll sign your hats, okay? How about that? All right, we'll get back to the regular order of business, and tonight, and the next item is item 5.2, a presentation by the Invest Health Partnership, and Deputy City Manager Megan Scheid will lead us off with Deborah Odo Kent, former mayor, now Supervisor Bonnie Gore.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor Haddishelt and members of the Roseville City Council. I'm Megan Scheid, Deputy City Manager, and I have the privilege of introducing the team from Invest Health here tonight. So it really, truly is a deep honor for me because this group has been together for 7 years, and I was part of Debbie called me that long ago and talked about this grant that the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation was offering to cities across the country. And would Roseville be interested in partnering on this? We got support among staff and from the council and went forward with submitting for this. This partnership, what I'm most proud of is what it's accomplished, which we'll talk about tonight, and then also that the original team has been together for 7 years doing this work. And first of all, I'd like to let you know that Health Education Council has been our fantastic partner this whole time. They were named Nonprofit of the Year in 2016, 2020, and 2023 by the legislature. HEC is dedicated to providing access, education, advocacy, and training to empower individuals toward a healthy life. They worked with our core neighborhoods here. The council made that one of their strategic priorities at the time as well, and it's continued on. There's been a lot that has been accomplished. I'd like to let you know that Roseville was one of only 50 communities nationwide to be selected for this honor. 180 80 applied. It has, it was an 18-month grant that was made possible by the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation with the aim to improve the health outcomes in low-income neighborhoods. I learned more than I ever could about health disparities, what the structured environment means, activities, and all the different facets of health by working with this group. And also during the pandemic, they came out strong for us because we were able to implement a program with the council support called Family Meal Roseville, delivered 16,000 meals, partnering with 6 restaurants to thousands of people in our community through schools, low-income senior communities, and it's a partnership that our employees still participate in to this day, delivering meals to the MyDo senior villages in partnership with Invest Health. So it has been because they were already in place, we were able to activate that within 6 weeks. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce Bonnie Gore, who at the time was our vice mayor, who's been a part of the original team and is now Placer County supervisor. Debbie Oto-Kent, who's the CEO and founder of Health Education Council and our fearless leader. Mark Walensky, who has been our city liaison, who is in the audience, and champion of all the efforts and connecting the efforts here with staff initiatives that are going on. And also Roxana Ochoa Garcia from Health Education Council, who implemented Family Meal Roseville for us and was phenomenal. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie to get us started.
Well, thank you, Megan, and thank you to the council. It's a pleasure to be here this evening to give you a little bit of an update about the Invest Health Roseville project. What we have done in the past 7 years is really quite wonderful, and so we want to share that with you, share with you what we've done, the value of the relationship that we've had with the city, and we want to look ahead about with what's to come. What we've seen in the last 7 years is that this work is incremental. It really takes time to make changes. And we've seen that. It's taken us time. We've been at it for 7 years. But what we've really learned is the work is based on relationship building. That relationships are key in any process. We have built relationships and built trust with our stakeholders, with the residents in our neighborhoods, with our city leadership, with our business community, with our nonprofit communities. The work is based on trust and relationships, and that has been really, really clear. And it was great to have the kids here from the Little League because they're from the Roseville Little League, and these are a lot of the kids from these core neighborhoods, from Thiles Manor, Cherry Glen, and Roseville Heights, right? Those neighborhoods are the core neighborhoods. They don't have all the bells and whistles that the newer parts of our city have, the big soccer fields, et cetera. And so this work was really aimed at assisting the residents in the communities, in this community. And I think we have a slide that is our vision. It's right here. But this vision was established via the conversations with residents in these core neighborhoods. And the focus really ended up aligning with some of our council goals in 2017, which is to really address the health needs of our core neighborhoods. As Megan said, the next slide will show that we were one of 50 cities in the United States for this grant, and there was an initial $60,000 grant that was given to the Health Education Council, who has served as our backbone agency. And the Invest Health Roseville program has brought national recognition for our work with our partnership with the city and with our other key stakeholders. You'll see only four of the cities are in California. The rest are primarily on the East Coast. And it was such a great opportunity to learn from mid-sized cities throughout the United States. In addition to the original grant, Roseville was also selected as one of 10 cities of the original 50 for the Invest Health 2.0 Field Building Grant. And that was an opportunity to learn from other cities focusing on similar issues of health needs in our communities. And then most recently, Roseville was also selected as one of 12 cities for collaboration grants to partner with other cities to continue this work. So we've been working hard, working at it for these past 7 years, and we're seeing that effort has paid off because we're continuing to get funds to keep the work going. I want to share with you the outcomes that we're seeking. And originally, when health education did the first grant, the focus was on food deserts. These neighborhoods don't have a lot of close access to grocery stores, and so we thought, these are food desert areas, they need assistance. Well, then we started talking to the residents, doing interviews with residents, and we found out, you know what? They have other needs. Their needs were really different than what we thought their needs were. So as we heard from them, we pivoted and we said, you know what, we're hearing from you. We're going to focus on the needs that you have. And those needs were increasing safety and walkability in the neighborhoods, reducing crime, improving connection to mental health and social health services and needs, and increasing physical activity and healthy food access. And so we as a group pivoted, and those were the areas we really focused on as we did our work. So I'm going to turn this now over to Debbie Odo-Kent with the Health Education Council, and I have to share that this work has really required consistent effort and focus and follow-through. And we could not have done this without an agency like the Health Education Council, without Debbie and Roxana really helping us regularly move forward because we're all volunteers. And they helped us continue to do the volunteer work that we've been doing. So Debbie?
Thank you. Next slide, please. I won't talk much about the Health Education Council other than to say, I started the organization 32 years ago. I know we haven't, sometimes people haven't known much about who we are. I think that's been by design because our work has always been in partnership with residents, low-income families that we want to serve. We have, for over 3 decades, been serving low-income communities throughout an 8-county region, including Placer County and including Roseville, delivering education, training, workshops around preventable causes of disease. As both Megan and Bonnie mentioned, one of the other big roles that the Health Education Council plays is that of convener. And in serving as the backbone organization, if you will, that brings together a whole wide variety of nonprofit organizations, faith organizations, local governments, different entities to really focus on how do we work together to improve the health and well-being of communities, and in particular, low-income, underserved communities. It has been our extreme pleasure and honor partnering with the City of Roseville, working with the incredible both elected officials at that time and continuing on, and the staff of the city through Megan and Mark, who was mentioned, and both have been consistently involved in 7 years, Dion, Dom, Jill, and others who have really committed to making the Invest Health Initiative what it is today. So thank you. Next slide, please. This is kind of our Invest Health timeline. I think Megan mentioned the first call for applications was in 2016. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my years now. And so we are in our 7th year of operation, and through those years, we've achieved a number of milestones. And as Megan called out, I think the structure, the infrastructure, the trust, the relationships, the foundation of Invest Health was tested during the pandemic, and I think we were all really appreciative and valued that we were able to really quickly mobilize to launch Family Meals Roseville and to coalesce all of our partners together to be focused on food insecurity, which was, quite frankly, unprecedented, I think, for many of us to see in such a dramatic way. And because of Roseville's innovation and Megan's leadership, I know that the city has received recognition for this innovative program. Next slide, please. So this slide, how 60,000 becomes over $10 million. Again, a lot of this information is included in your staff report. But what I want to call out is what is really notable about this. This initiative, 7 years later, started with a phone call between Megan and I that said, I think Roseville would be a great place to put ourselves forward, compete with 192 other mid-sized cities seeking to be part of this thing called a 50-city across the country, mid-sized city initiative to really look at how do we increase health and well-being in low-income communities through investments. And investments often that isn't necessarily new money, but leverages existing partnerships, relationships, and money sometimes that might already be available within a city. But so what's notable is we have been tracking this. It is almost $11 million. Of that, about $2 million have been brought into the city through grants and agreements and contracts from the private sector, through healthcare systems, through Air Quality Resources Board, through Union Pacific, through other private foundations to implement programming and activities of things that we were incrementally hearing from residents about what if we had this and what if we had that, and that might make a change. And I think when Bonnie talks about small incremental change, it is when residents say, I think we need better lighting, and then suddenly they see better lighting in their neighborhood. It builds trust, and it builds a sense of my voice really matters, and our elected officials and our city is really listening to the small things that I might mention. Early on, we heard about the need for curb cuts. The city said, you know what, I think we have money, our CBDG money could be used to implement some of those curb cuts in the neighborhoods. And so altogether, the city has invested almost $10 million to improvements. And in partnering with the city, the Health Education Council, we really invested in our grant writing capacity to bring in other private sources of revenue as well. Next slide. Again, most of this information is in your packet. We have been trying to, as Bonnie said, document what are these small accomplishments that have happened over the way that have led to this incremental success that has built to sustain an initiative over 7 years and to continue its momentum. It's been a variety of accomplishments as this and as that are listed in your packet. But I think it's notable to call out that Roseville has been one of those outstanding cities. We have been one of the 10 that have been selected out of the 50 cities. We are continuing to be elevated and noted in how we've approached the work and the accomplishments and the partnerships that have happened. We will be highlighted later this year in calling out one of the cities, of the 50 cities, and we've been asked as the first city to tell our story. I think we've also had other accomplishments by increasing our connection with the other 50 cities within the network. One outcome that isn't listed is that Dion and other folks from the city were able to connect with affordable housing builders that the Invest Health National team had connection with. And I know that one of those affordable housing builders is in contract with the city, and there is discussion with others. All of these this resources and these other opportunities were brought forth through being part of the Invest Health network. Next slide. You know, as Bonnie said, she was on the city council and the vice mayor at the time this program launched. Carol Garcia, as you know, was the mayor at that time. And part of the approach and part of the brilliance, I think, of both Bonnie and Carol, Megan, and the city was to say, how do we align the Invest Health initiative with the strategic plan goals of the city council? And so at that time, we were very intentional about trying to figure out how does this align? How do we launch this program so it is a aligned win, and we begin to achieve the strategic goals through working from very much of a grassroots, community-based way in the core neighborhoods. So in looking at your current strategic plan, there are 3 goals that we think are in direct alignment with the Invest Health work that are listed in your staff report. They include Goal B, support community engagement and advocacy. Goal C, maintain a safe and healthy community. and Goal E, deliver exceptional city services. You'll notice that we listed a couple of others, and some of this is the doing of Bonnie because she sat where you're sitting, I think, and so looked at the goals. And so she added invest in well-planned infrastructure and growth. We are extraordinarily excited about what's happening with Weber Park. Weber Park was called out in year one about needing investment from residents, about making that a safer, better, more inviting place, about activating that space. And there's been a lot, tremendous resident input into how that particular park is planned and reimagined for the future. And other neighborhood improvements that went into the park in the built environment. And the other one that Bonnie added was to remain fiscally responsible in a changing world. And she might be able to speak more to this one, but I think this aligns because we are constantly seeking other private funds to bring into the city to leverage what cities can do and what they're paying for, to augment and to activate and to extend resources that the city is offering. Next slide. So moving forward, we are really proud of the city of Roseville. We're really proud of the Invest Health Advisory Board members that have been meeting monthly for the last 4.5, 5 years. We are really proud of the accomplishments and the accolades. We also recognize that there are still pockets of need in our community. We continue to focus on the core neighborhoods, but we also know that there are other pockets of needs within the city. We are really excited to continue our partnerships with other nonprofits in the city, with businesses, with other key stakeholders who are equally as committed to health and well-being of all residents. We're excited about continuing to make Roseville an inclusive and welcoming place for all, which was articulated in the strategic plan. And we're very excited about continuing to access the resources and the opportunities through Invest Health 3.0, which was recently launched by the Reinvestment Fund and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and that all of our team members have an active voice in how that is shaped and how that rolls out. So thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I just wanted to add that the team has traveled around the country in these past 7 years, many places with many exchanges of best practices with other cities. And the team also includes Aldo Panesci, a community leader, Carol Garcia, as Debbie mentioned, who was mayor at the time, who's still involved in this, and Reverend Mossy from First United Methodist Church, a recent addition to the team, and originally Shannon Quignon, from Roseville Heights Neighborhood Association with Arcona, too. So, and with that,
so the last thing, we left you a copy of this book. This is about Weber Park. You'll probably notice some of the visuals and the houses around the park. This has been distributed nationally, and the feedback we've gotten is they just love the story because it's a story of empowerment of a little girl and her family, and about how resident voice can really start big changes in neighborhoods. So thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's the first time we've come back to give you an update in 7 years. So thank you for the chance to do that.
Thanks. This is an information-only item, but I think Councilman Albert, you were probably on the council at the time as well, right?
I came in 17, first served, I was elected in 16, came first 17, and was very impressed, and beginning just trying to figure out what is this going to do, and is it really actually going to do something? And so I do want to say, though, I think you guys have been an excellent, constant voice, especially for Weber Park. And I know changing the lights, getting the brighter areas, you made a really good case at one of the breakfasts, I think it was. And I do appreciate that. I know the community appreciates that, and I think that's neat to be able to have the community so involved in improving their own neighborhoods, and it's neat to watch it happen in real life. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think that this is a perfect demonstration of a private-public partnership. And you have all been steady at the wheel with your heads down, working really hard. And I know that you have a great team, Debbie, but none of this would happen without your vision. So thanks for what you do. And on behalf of our residents, too, it's important work. And it aligns with our priorities, right? Our priorities also Weber Park this fiscal year. So finally, thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Riccucci?
I think Weber Park was monumental because of, it's been there, it was 80-year-old park. My dad was there, went to grammar school on that site many years ago.
Wow.
And I think everybody wanted to see something happen, but it's like synergy, and you have to get all the parts together, and then it happens, because, I mean, there were times they're talking about maybe we can only afford making a half park, and that's not going to work, and, all kinds of things. And I really liked talking with the community and seeing what their priorities were, what they wanted. And that, they had a lot, but being safe and having their park right there is important. I also appreciate going to the Methodist Church on Church Street, because it's kind of a meeting place, and going there on the Fridays. I went last Friday, and I really, really like that, because it's bringing people together that normally would never be together. And you're seeing families that, like, even though we had National Night Out, and we had a lot of people there at the Weber Park, not always the families that came on the Friday, and it was wonderful. They come and they're eating together, they're playing games, they're learning about healthcare. So it's I would say that right there makes a difference for people who normally don't interact, but it's starting to get people feeling comfortable and being part of that area. So thank you.
Councilmember Mendoza?
Thank you.
My colleagues have pretty much said it all, but it's amazing how much good has come from this collaboration. And hearing the update, I wasn't obviously on council back then, but 7 years in a partnership like this isn't that long of a time, to be up and running and to accomplish, what you said you've accomplished, and what you're envisioning moving forward with is just, I just don't have the words for it. It's really, really impressive, because there are other organizations out there that have twice, 3 times the amount of years that you have been in, and probably some have not accomplished the feats that you have. So extremely proud of what you've done, and you should be proud as well. And I appreciate the update, and keep up the good work.
Yeah, and your reach was far beyond the community. The family meals, right? Putting folks at Nick's Tacos or Randy Peters, and I know there was another one in there. Maybe Councilwoman Riccucci remembers, she and I were dragging our wagon around, right, as part of that, right? So I think we were all, at one point in time, participated in that. It was so uplifting to, be there at the door and to provide, not just a meal, but that meal represented a lot. And I'm going to botch this proverb, but, it goes something like this, and you'll know the source. But if you want to go somewhere fast, go by yourself. If you want to go somewhere far, go with a group. So, and that's what your 7 years exemplifies is a group. So thank you very much.
And we do have to open it up for public comment.
Oh, okay, sure. I'd be happy to open up for public comment. Anyone out there who would like to make public comment?
Council, and this is directed to, I guess, the council, but more to Debbie, because we go back a good while in Roseville. This is not her first project in Roseville. She started with the glue factory, of which this came out of, and I was a part of that glue factory. It was like a hacker lab kind of thing, and spot on with the council at that time, which was really Bonnie and Carol Garcia, which really wrapped around her vision for what could be done in Roseville at the time, and especially for the downtown area. I want to say that, really. I mean, she got the police more out of the cars and onto the streets. It was just phenomenal. So I just want to say glad I came today. I came on another mission, which is probably what I shouldn't be on, but anyway, but I am because every time I do, I get here, and this is for the council, and it's always something that I'm supposed to be here about cheering on. The baseball players, you, who I haven't seen in years, and just kudos to you, Debbie. I know you're still out there going. I still get your mail, so yeah. So I just wanted to say that Glue Factory, and she was in, and just all kinds of accolades to you. Kudos. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to make a public comment? All right, going once, going twice. Thank you, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
It really is. This is what Roseville's about. Right, I've lost my place. We've come to the time in the agenda where we will have public comment on items that are not on this evening's agenda. So we'll entertain anyone who wants to make public comment.
My 7 o'clock was wrong.
It was me.
Yes, it's me again, and it's Muriel Moore, I know you know. And I'm going to read this because if I start to talk it, then I'm going to miss something, and I don't want to, and I did take the time to type it out. And this is in regards to the response, this is called Response to the June 21st City Council meeting, and I know you know what that was about. So I'm going to just jump in. Wednesday, because it's timed. Wednesday, June 21st, the Roseville fiscal 2023-2024 budget is on the agenda. Arriving at the council chamber doors at 5:55. Wow, there's a long line to get in. Meeting starts at 6 p.m. I'm wondering if all of these people are here to participate in the budget session. Did I miss something? Did Dominic get something wrong? Did Dominic get something wrong? I didn't see too much difference from the 2022 to 2023 budget to worry about. Okay, I'm in and able to grab one of the few remaining seats up front too. The meeting begins with the pledge, then it's opened up for public comment. Voila, this crowd of people are here to vent about the Pride Day celebration held at Royer Park with the mayor and at least one council person in attendance. Also targeted were the landing spot in Loomis, Pastor Casey Tenen, because of their work with the LGBTQ youth and their families, and attacks against the Placer County school districts and their curriculums taught. Wow. What a charade, or should I say parade, of disgusting, bombastic resident speakers. Their sheer words of hypocrisy, lack of facts, and total disregard for not only the Constitution, the right to peaceful assembly, that is, but the Bible as well. Love God and love people. Love people and love thy neighbor as thyself were cast to the winds. From the self-proclaimed preacher who said he resided in Roseville, yet in November last year, he was on the ballot for the Rockland City Council, which he lost, bellowing about a drag queen show and removing Roseville council members Dick's election, on to the female parent who talked about the landing spot and Pastor Casey grooming children into or for the LGBTQ community by way of their program. Furthered by the parent who moved to Rockland from Natomas because of its renowned schools, now being disgusted with the lifestyle freely displayed and what's being wrongly taught in the schools. That's what she said. She'll vote you all out. Well, to all those disgruntled misfits, we are Roseville, a welcoming, diverse, thriving community. Their threats are unwarranted and unwelcome. 6 years ago, the attacks were against the Sikh community. 4 years ago, it was the N-word vividly displayed on the marquee at Junction Elementary School in West Roseville. From 2020 to 2022, deniers fought against the mandates battling COVID by defying county and state laws and guidelines. Now today, the flavor of the era by these same people are the verbal threats and attacks on the LGBTQ community in our public school.
How many more paragraphs do you have?
Just one more.
One more paragraph? All
Yeah,
right.
just one more. That's the
10
one that I
seconds.
said. Well, Mayor and council members, I just want to say, there's a Greyhound bus leaving, heading for Texas and Florida momentarily for all those who don't like We Are Roseville. It's called Free Will and Passage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Muriel. Any other public comments on non-agenda items?
Oh, and the landing spot was cleared. And
Okay. All right, well, we'll now move on to the consent calendar, and I'll ask the city clerk to announce the procedures for approving the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So consent calendar items, all matters on consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one motion of the city council. There will be no discussion on consent calendar items unless a member of the city council, the staff, or a member of the public asks for a specific item to be pulled for further discussion. At this time, neither council or staff has made such a request. Is there any member of the public that would like to pull an item for further discussion tonight? Seeing none, Mr. Mayor, we'll move on to the city council consideration of approving consent calendar items 7.1 through 7.8. May I have a motion at this time?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with the second. We'll start our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Elverd.
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza.
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci.
Yes.
And Mayor Haldeshell.
Yes, thank you very
Motion
much.
passes.
All right, we'll move on to item 8, resolutions, and item 8.1, Villages at Sierra Vista Community Facilities District Number 1, Series 2023, bond issuance, and our Assistant City Manager and Chief Financial Officer, Dennis Kaufman.
Mayor Haldeshell, council members. I am here tonight to recommend approving the issuance of a series of bonds for the Villages at Sierra Vista, CFD number 1. As a little bit of background, the city sets up community facilities districts to create land-secured financing tools to fund construction or acquisition of authorized facilities or services. This particular CFD was formed in May of 2018. And we have previously issued 4 series of bonds totaling about $36 million. The recommended bond issue before you is the 5th series of bonds for this district with an aggregate principal amount that will not exceed $5.25 million for this particular series of bonds. And this CFD has a maximum authorized bonded indebtedness of $310 million. The authorized facilities that could be financed with the bonds include transportation improvements, including portions of Vista Grande Boulevard, Market Street, Fitiment Road, and Nicole G. Drive, as well as utility infrastructure and park and open space improvements. This map shows the boundaries of the Villages at Sierra Vista CFD number 1. You can see the gray area that does not have lines around it was the initial boundary area. There have been 4 annexations into this district since it was formed, and all of these areas, including the annexations, will serve as security for the bonds that will be issued. The staff recommendation tonight is to approve the resolution authorizing this 5th issuance of bonds for the Villages at Sierra Vista, CFD number 1, and approving the related actions and documents, including the form of the preliminary official statement, which is used to market the bonds. And this concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Does anyone on the council have any questions on this item?
No.
All right, I'll open it up for public comment. I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back to the council and see if there's any comments. If not, I'll ask the city clerk to read the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On item 8.1, the City Council will consider adopting Resolution Number 23-323, authorizing the issuance of special tax bonds for and on behalf of the City of Roseville Villages at Sierra Vista. Community Facilities District Number 1, otherwise described as public facilities, approving and directing the execution of Supplemental Agreement Number 4 to Fiscal Agent Agreement, approving the form of preliminary official statement, approving sale of such bonds pursuant to a bond purchase agreement, and approving other related documents and actions. At this time, may I please have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor with a second. We'll do our roll call with Vice Mayor Bernasconi.
Yes.
Councilmember Elverd?
Yes.
Councilmember Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilmember Rakucci?
Yes.
And Mayor Hildeschild?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, we are at the point of the evening where we will have a second round of public comments on non-agenda items. Okay. Now this is the acting city manager.
No reports this evening, Mayor.
All right, well, that's the city attorney.
Nothing from me, thank you.
All right, let's lead off council reports with Councilwoman Bernasconi. I'm Councilwoman Rakucci, sorry.
Get those Italians mixed
Those
up,
Italians,
huh?
yeah.
I know.
There's vowels coming out here. Sorry.
Okay, just a few things. First of all, a couple things that happened yesterday. There was a groundbreaking here in Roseville for freeway expansion, and it's called, it was a project, it's to improve safety and traffic flow on I-80 eastbound SR 65 through Rockland Road and westbound Douglas Boulevard and Riverside Avenue, one of our most congested areas. And there's funding from state and federal and local funds that have been used, and hopefully the construction starts now and it's going to end in 2024. So we'll see how that goes. But that was well attended by our local people. We had Congressman Kiley there. We had Joe Patterson from the State Assembly and a lot of Caltrans people, and the mayor was there and myself, and it was just nice to see. Maybe we'll make some more changes in that area. So that was good. Secondly, I think all of us here went to National Night Out, which was really great fun all over Roseville. It was in different areas. A lot of people all over. And I think National Night Out, this is its 40th year that it's been happening. And the whole idea is to get people to know their neighbors. This is one real way to get people back together, and so that, if they see something strange in a neighborhood, they know that it's not usual for their neighbors, and they can call the police or, make them aware. But it was a very nice event, and I think it brings Roseville and the community together. So that was really kind of nice. Just a couple things I was also going to mention. One thing that I see that the weather is getting even warmer now, and we have a lot of areas that people just let their grass get dry, to be, caution them to be really careful. We've had fires reported that were started with grass next to houses and started houses on fire. And, even if I've seen people that had grass, like grass, and then just let it grow, and now it's tall, dead grass. Mow it down, get rid of it. If you don't want to water, that's okay. Just mow it down so that you're not a fire hazard to yourself and your neighbors. And we have water days, so that if you actually wanted to water your grass, you can do that too. But be mindful that we're in a high fire season, and anything like that is easy to catch on fire. Also, I had a lady call me last week about the first responder fee. I know a lot of people know about it, but a lot of people don't know about it. And what that is if you call an ambulance for something that's happened in your house, you might get an ambulance fee, and you might get one for having the paramedics treat you. And if there is a question about will your insurance pay or not pay, you can check with the fire department. Most insurances do pay for the responder fee, because what it is you're paid for a fee of service. Many years ago, when you call an ambulance, that's all they did. They might have taken your blood pressure and a few little things. Now it's pretty much really on the line first aid care right there, and getting you ready for the next step in a hospital. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you have any questions, call the non-emergency fire department, and there's people who can help you fill out those forms. And in many cases, if your insurance doesn't pay for the first responders fees, that could be waived. And it did with this person that called, but you just have to know to make that phone call and check. And what else? Oh, had the opportunity to go to Murphy's, and what that is where there's some powerhouses there that Northern California Power Agency operates for electricity in the areas. And we go once a year there to just see how it's going, but it was really interesting. Last year when I went, just like any place else, it was drought. Everything's dry. There's, either no water, and worrying about, hitting Deadpool. Well, this year in Murphy's, a month ago, they were 12 feet under snow. And there are areas that we were walking on, the fences were broken and everything because of the heavy snowpack. So nice to report that lots of water at the New Spicer Reservoir, and water for the community and also the region, and electricity for the region. So it's really so nice to see Mother Nature working in a different direction right now. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Great, no, thank you. Councilmember Mendoza.
Okay, so Law and Regulatory did not meet this month. The LAFCO meeting for this month has been canceled. My other council assignment, I sit on the Roseville Police Athletic League Board, and they met yesterday. And I just want to report out that they do have their annual event, Bacon and Brew, coming up in October. They are seeking corporate sponsors and title sponsors. It is a great event. It's held down here at Vernon Town Square. Always a lot of fun. If you have a business or a nonprofit that wants to get involved, you can go on the RPAL website. Like I say, they are seeking sponsorships and sponsor and funding opportunities from the community, and it does go to a worthwhile cause. It does help the youth in our community and supports many programs that it's put on by RPAL, and it does directly affect those in our community. So I'd encourage you to seek that out if you have an opportunity or a business and want to get involved. And everything else that I was going to say has been covered, so I will turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Albert.
Yeah, I'm going to add on the RPAL. I serve on RPAL board as a regular community member, and we had a unanimous vote of the board members who were there to select a new executive director, and Jamie Hazen is going to be the new director for RPAL, and she's been on the board for 23 years, and so we're excited that she's stepping up. So congratulations, Jamie. On EDAC, the Economic Development Advisory Committee for Roseville, we have a lot of different seats in different industries that sit on that board, that committee, and we're doing business visits. We're going out and interviewing businesses, seeing how we can help further their experience, better their experience in our city. And I just appreciate the EDAC members all stepping up to go out and visit different businesses. We had the Western Nationals girls softball tournament here in Roseville and some fields around. And it's a neat tournament. It brought teams from all over the place, from Hawaii and several other states. And it estimated to bring about $1 million of imported revenue into our city in different aspects, shopping and restaurants and hotels. And it's a great thing to be able to offer enough fields to host something like that. So it's just kind of a good thing for Roseville. I know a bunch of us were there at the opening ceremony. That was fun to watch. On National Night Out, I visited, we all hit different places. So I was at the West Park Fitment Farm event and the brand new Solaire event. They had a surprisingly very large one. Creekside piggybacked on the West Park Fitment Farm. I was out at the Bev Boss Park. And the club at West Park had a big gathering on one of their side streets. That was kind of fun, too. And I do want to say, it was neat watching our police, and our police dog, too, and fire interact with the public. They just got out and, kids played on the equipment, very friendly. I think the public saw them as people, as their friends, and that's part of the goal. It was just really fun watching the interaction and the friendliness of our public safety interacting with our community, and that's one of the purposes of National Night Out. We had 2 big openings of a new school. So one was the Rex Fortune School a couple weeks ago, and then last week was the Westbrook Elementary School, 2 different school districts, and they had an open house. They have a grand opening coming up. And this is on the west side of town, a lot of brand-new neighbors. Schools are pretty heavily impacted. The people in the center school district had to bus out of our county to Sacramento County to go to elementary school, so now they can walk to school. So a lot of people were all excited about that. It was just neat watching the schools open and the public get really excited about it. And then the last thing I have, I meant to bring this up at the last council meeting, I just totally forgot about it. So, and this is kind of a question for my council members, my fellow council members. In the 24 hours surrounding the 4th of July celebrations, we had 14 fires in the city of Roseville. 7 of those were vegetation fires. There was a very large one out in the west side of town near my house. I rode my bike out and watched it burn. A lot of neighbors were very, very angry. I know we all get hit up on 4th of July with the very loud booms that startle people. We call them Disneyland aerial fireworks in neighborhoods and over dry fields that aren't supposed to happen. And our city allows safe and sane fireworks, which most people were very supportive of, and they're very fun and celebratory. But we do have a lot of people and many new people that come to town also that are doing illegal fireworks, and the community is getting very angry. And this last 4th of July seemed to be a much bigger dose of anger coming out, at least what I heard. My phone was ringing off the hook, and social media was lit up. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you, if you would entertain an idea to have our staff come back with some propositions for us to talk about, an agenda item that we can talk about. Roseville doesn't have one of the stiffest illegal firework penalties. And I would like to see us possibly talk about beefing up the penalties for illegal fireworks, not for our safe and sane, but for the illegal kind, so that it is a little bit more of a deterrent, because this is getting to be a real problem. Our police and fire cannot keep up with it. It's just crazy. And I think if we talk about possibly increasing those penalties and promote that, that might help a little bit. And I know our community desperately wants it. I've been hearing it loudly, and I'm sure you have too. So I decided to ask you if you'd be comfortable supporting asking the staff to bring back an agenda item later. We can discuss this and see if we'd like to stiffen our penalties a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor Bernasconi?
Well, just to answer your question, I'd be in favor of that. And it seems that it's not just the couple days before the 4th of July. It's like a couple weeks before and a couple weeks after. And maybe staff can come to us with research on potentially other jurisdictions that have done it successfully, how if our fire department is able, it has ability to enforce. So I'm open to exploring it with more information.
Yeah, let's stay on that, and then we'll get back to you with any report you have. So, Councilmember Mendoza, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure what a deterrent it would be, but I certainly would like to explore it, so yeah.
Yep. Councilwoman Rakucci?
I would say the same thing because it's already illegal. And I'm hoping that we can look at reminding people that those illegal fireworks blow off hands, start fires, kill people.
Yeah. No, I think, and certainly I share the sentiment of everyone. I do want to make sure that in the analysis that police and fire, it's one thing to have a fine, but if you don't cite somebody, and so is it, as part of that analysis, what is the effective way, right? Because we got a pretty significant after-action report, and I'll tell you, I thought this particular 4th of July went on for like 4 days, right? It just seemed, crazy. And I've talked with people that said, yeah, they're still going off. So I think we're all in agreement. Let's see what we've got, and and have conversations about it.
Staff be happy to put together some options for council to consider, and if you have other thoughts or ideas, certainly reach out to us, but we'll gather our staff together and put some things for you to consider.
And this is just on the illegal side of it, right? So
Yes.
Okay, great.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor Bernasconi?
Well, I'll just share on that note, it was the first 4th of July. I remember not being in Roseville, and I was in one of my maybe second or third favorite places, which is Catalina Island, and there, well, it's an island, so you would probably get caught a little bit more easily, but there are no fireworks allowed at all, not even safe and sane, except for, what they professionally do over the the water, and it was pretty calm and pretty beautiful. So, on that note, I did miss our meeting in July and 4th of July festivities before I left. I was happy to cover for Pauline, who is our representative on NCPA, and I believe that you were on another council duty at that time. National Night Out was fantastic. I would say, what I say all the time, I feel like most residents are really happy and love Roseville. Comments were around loving Roseville Electric, thanking our first responders. But one of my highlights of the evening was my rideshare partner was Gabe Sorensen from our animal control office. And if you want to hear some really fantastic stories, he's really an interesting guy about stories from deers to raccoons to dogs off leashes to complaints. So highly recommend. Just a reminder that school is starting next week. It's hard to believe for most all of our Roseville schools. So just exercising extreme caution when we're on our way to work and traveling. I remember our former police chief said there's not a worse driver than a parent on drop off and pick up. You know, you're distracted, you're trying to go a million miles an hour, you're trying to get to work. And we've all been guilty of that. So with that, that's all I have for this evening. Happy to be back.
Welcome back. Yeah, to keep it on the National Night Out theme, I went to a couple of places I haven't been in past years, and I was giving out unofficial prizes. Maybe in future years they ought to, the buffet at the club at West Park was awesome, right? But I got there after you guys had already gone. I went to Rube Nelson Park. They had raffles. Maybe there's an ice cream competition. I was at where were we at? Cherry Glen.
Cherry Glen had all kinds of ice cream.
I thought they were going to have root beer floats, but ice cream's ice cream. I'll go with that. I'm good. I walked my 3 miles this morning. So, but and I didn't think Butter was going to be out there, and then I saw Butter, and so for those of you who don't know, Butter is our canine comfort animal. So it was really awesome. So, yep. Somebody mentioned the auxiliary lanes. Hopefully those are not the last lanes built in Placer County. We really do need to work diligently because the state is certainly trying to be climate friendly, and that means transit. Speaking of transit, on Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m., I represent the council on the Placer County Transportation Planning Agency. I will be at Mojo's along with Matt Click, our executive officer, talking about transportation from 8 to 10. And then I will scurry with some of you, all of you probably, over to our community event and the rededication of Royer Park and the ribbon cutting. We all no doubt have a history with Royer Park. And before the USA softball, there was also another tournament, the End of Trail girls basketball at the ground. So you had this 10 days of sports activity, and sports tourism is at the top of us. So that was really nice. Butter. Tomorrow I will be at Sun City for their annual meeting. I guess I got some comments that were sent to me. So I'll be there in the morning. We all did a tour of our police facilities and had we all had our favorite parts, Butter being one of them, but our digital crime board was terrific. So there's that, the community. And the last thing, but not the least thing, is, I may have said this at a previous meeting, but Monk Cellar is the California State Fair Brewery of the Year. So I think, I got a text from Shelley earlier today, said, hey, Monk Cellar was on TV. And I said, about Brewery of the Year? She said, yeah. So, we love the investment that Andy Klein and Paul Gould have and put into Vernon Street, and that's great recognition. I'm out of things. So with that, we'll adjourn till our August 16th meeting. Thank you, everybody.
All right.